The affluent neighborhood of Beverly Hills, notoriously known as the opulent playground of the stars, was rocked by the murder of two of their own in the summer of 1989. At 11:47 p.m. on the night of August 20th, 1989, a 911 operator received a hysterical call from a 21-year-old Lyle Menendez.
Beverly Hills emergency.
Yes?
What's the problem?
Somebody killed my parents.
Pardon me?
Somebody killed my parents.
What? Who? Are they still there?
Yes.
The people who killed them?
No.
Were they shot?
Eric, yes.
They were shot.
Yes, Eric, shut up.
I have a hysterical person on the phone. Is the person still there?
I don't think so.
What happened? Have you been able to figure out what happened? Who shot who?
I don't know. I came home and I found...
You came home and found who shot?
My mom and my dad.
You're in bed?
Are they still in the house, the people who did the shooting?
Let me talk to Eric. Who is the person that was shot?
My mom and my dad.
Your mom and your dad?
Yes, my mom and my dad.
It's okay. Hold on a second. Okay, we're on our way over there with an ambulance.
Police found a gruesome scene. Jose, a wealthy entertainment executive, and his wife, Kitty, had been found murdered on the living room's crisp white couches. Both had been shot multiple times at close range, including Jose in the back of the head. Jose and Kitty had also both been shot in their kneecaps, a sign of a gang-related killing.
Lyle and Eric Menendez, the couple 21 and 18-year-old sons, respectively, told the police that they had returned home from watching the Batman movie and an event called The Taste of LA to find their parents' bodies. Police had no suspects and did not have any reason to believe that the brothers may have been responsible for the crime. As such, no gun residue tests were conducted. Lyle and Eric Menendez hired their own private security, asserting that they believed that their parents had been murdered by a gang who would have then seek to kill Lyle and Eric.
Prior to the crime, the family had lived an extravagant lifestyle. In the months following the murder, the brothers would continue to spend exorbitant amounts of money, spending almost $1 million on cars, private tennis coaches, Rolex watches, and even a restaurant. Police became suspicious of the brothers' spending, but were unable to disprove the brothers' alibi or find the murder weapon. There were still no suspects.
He said, well, I'd like to get our tennis equipment. Did any of this seem unusual to you? Oh, that was very unusual for me. His main concern was going into the murder scene to get tennis equipment from there. Eric and Lyle Menendez are cold-blooded murderers.
Almost 7 months after Jose and Kitty's murders, a break in the case occurred. On March 8, 1990, police arrest Lyle, and 3 days later, following his return from Israel, arrest Eric Menendez for the murder of Jose and Kitty Menendez. What had led police to arrest the brothers? In an unexpected sequence of events, the nail in the coffin that cemented the brothers' guilt was the confession of the woman named Judalon Smith, who was seemingly unrelated to the Menendez.
Judalon had been having an affair with the Menendez brothers' therapist, Dr. Oziel. Allegedly, Judalon had overheard Dr. Oziel's taped notes of his therapy sessions with Eric. In one of these sessions, Eric, overcome by guilt and stress, confessed to his therapist that he and his brother had murdered their parents, disposed of the shotguns and their bloody clothes, and faked their alibi.
Dr. Oziel's therapy sessions with Eric and Lyle were protected under doctor-patient confidentiality. It was the fact that Dr. Oziel had taped his notes and Judalon Smith had somehow heard them that allowed the police to be notified. It took more than 30 months, including appeals to the Supreme Court of California, before Dr. Oziel's tapes were declared admissible and able to be entered into evidence.
The brothers' joint trial thus did not become a question of if they had committed the crime, but why. What had led the boys, who led seemingly perfect lives, to shoot their parents in cold blood?
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the prosecution believes that the brothers killed their parents in order to acquire their $14 million inheritance. It is suspected that Kitty and Jose had cut their kids out from their will, which I believe may have been true due to the fact that no one was ever found and a computer specialist had been hired by the brothers to search the family's computer and delete all documents. The brothers' lack of grief over the death of their parents, spending of an excessive amount of money, and their actions to secure that no will was found signal that they clearly killed their parents in order to secure their wealth. The murder was premeditated with this goal. in mind.
This aligns with aspects of the routine activities theory, which involves a motivated offender, lack of guardian, and a vulnerable target. The brothers were motivated to secure their parents' wealth. Their parents were vulnerable and unsuspecting as they were simply at home relaxing, and there was a lack of guardian as no others were present at the home.
We can analyze the prosecution's view through rational choice theory. The brothers would have conducted a cost-benefit analysis of their crime, believing that they had committed the perfect crime, as evidenced by their alibi, disposal of evidence, and feigned acting in the 911 call. The brothers would have assumed that they could have gotten away with the crime and inherited the $14 million.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the boys did not kill their parents in order to acquire their inheritance. That is completely off base. Lyle and Eric killed their parents in order to protect themselves. The boys were terrified and worried that their parents would kill them first. Both Lyle and Eric had been molested by their father throughout their childhood and adolescence. Lyle was also sexually assaulted by his mother, Kitty. Jose was extremely dangerous and demanding of both physically and emotionally abusive to the boys, as was Kitty. This was verified by two cousins of the Menendez brothers. When the boys confronted their father and demanded that he stop the abuse, his response was so threatening that they felt they had no other option but to kill him in self-defense. That's how much they feared for their lives.
Did you ask him not to?
Yes.
How did you ask him not to?
I just told him, I don't. I'm sorry. I just told him that I didn't want to do this, and that it hurt me. And he said that he didn't mean to hurt me, and he loved me.
Was that important to you, that he loved you?
Yes, very. But I still didn't want to do it.
Did you tell your mom?
Yes.
What did you say to your mom?
I told her to tell Dad to leave me alone. And he keeps touching me.
Agnew's general strain theory postulates that situations that evoke negative states, such as trauma, abuse, and failure, can influence one's vulnerability to commit crime. The Menendez brothers continued sexual, physical, and emotional abuse at the hands of their father and, in Lyle's case, their mother. That would have produced significant sources of strain for the brothers, who have committed their crime in order to lessen the strain and eliminate the source.
While Jose did not necessarily teach Lyle and Eric criminal behavior, Jose reinforced ideas associated with criminal behavior. In examining differential association theory, Lyle and Eric had learned their attitudes and values from those whom they associated with most notably their parents. Jose was a perfectionist and extremely controlling of his children. He told his kids to do whatever possible to achieve success. Unfortunately, to his sons, this value transformed into killing their parents in order to attain success, defined as freedom from their parents' abuse or the $14 million inheritance.
When I think of Jose Menendez and his sons, the word that pops into my head is ownership. These were his prized thoroughbreds, his sons. They were going to reflect his own glory, and if they didn't, God help them.
Describe your relationship with your father.
Brutal. Painful. Torturous. And yet, I admired him because he was so strong, and he was everything that success was, that I was taught that success was. And I thought that he was the most powerful and brilliant person I had ever met. To me, the Menendez brothers became homicidal monsters that were shaped by Jose Menendez.
After being retried, Following the first trial being declared a mistrial, after the jury could not reach a verdict, both brothers were found guilty of first-degree murder and conspiracy to commit murder and were sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. The brothers are still in prison and are housed in separate maximum security prisons in California. Now, 28 years later, the Menendez brothers are still tormented by the alleged sexual abuse that they endured from their parents and their actions on that fateful night. Opponents claim that the sexual abuse was fabricated in order to provide the brothers with a defense, but the brothers continue to maintain that they were in fact abused.
It was unspeakable what I was feeling as I was growing up in this home. I think it just poured out that weekend when I realized that this has been happening to my brother for so long. My mother knew what had happened to me and made the series of choices choosing her husband over her children. There was no separating my mother from my father.